Okay, so you know how we always hear about AI being the future and all?
Right.
Well, today we're gonna dive into this code that's trying to teach an AI how to actually think logically.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff, actually, because we're not just talking about crunching numbers here. It's about problem solving, kind of like, how we solve puzzles.
And that's what's so cool about this particular code. It's not just like force feeding logic into the AI. It's more like,
It's like we're building a whole world for this AI, a virtual playground where it could experiment with logic
exactly.
and learn by doing.
So how does it even work? Like, how do you teach an AI to think logically in the first place?
Well, it all starts with those basic building blocks of logic, right?
Yeah.
Like the ANDs, ORs, and nots. The code gives the AI these tools, and then it's up to the AI to figure out how to use them to solve problems.
So it's like giving someone a bunch of different tools and saying, all right, build me a house.
Yeah, and the cool part is the AI isn't given a blueprint or anything.
So how does it even begin to figure things out?
Trial and error,
Yes.
basically. This AI tries different combinations of these logical operations, and the ones that get it closer to the right answer, they get to survive in a sense. They're more likely to be used again in the next generation of the code.
So it's like survival of the fittest, but for logic.
Exactly. It's actually a very elegant way to simulate learning in a way, because it's not that different from how we humans learn, right?
That's true. Think about when you were learning to ride a bike. You didn't just hop on and become a pro instantly.
Right, you probably fell a few times, maybe even scraped your knees a bit, but each time you fell, you learned something, you adjusted, and eventually you got better.
This AI is doing the same thing, except instead of falling off a bike, it's getting those logic puzzles wrong.
Precisely. And those mistakes are key, because that's how the AI learns and improves its logical abilities over time.
That's so cool. So it's not about being perfect right away. It's about this constant evolution, this process of getting better at solving those puzzles. So we've got this AI learning logic like it's training for the AI Olympics or something. But here's where it gets really wild. It turns out that where these logical operations are located, like physically in the AI's world, actually affects how well the AI understands them.
It's true. It's like, imagine a giant 3D chessboard, and each of those logical operations, the ANDs and ORs, they each have their own little square on the board.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Now, the closer these operations are to each other on the board, the easier it is for the AI to grasp the relationship between them.
So you're saying the AI's environment can actually influence its learning? Like
Yeah.
if we rearrange the furniture in its virtual living room?
That's what this code seems to suggest, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just some random quirk of this specific AI either. It actually reflects something really profound about how we humans learn, too.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. Have you ever struggled to understand a concept and then someone explains it in a slightly different way?
Sure, happens all the time.
Right. Suddenly it just clicks.
And you're like, why didn't they just say it like that in the first place?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that you weren't capable of understanding before. It's just that the way the information was presented, the context, made a huge difference.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
And that's what's so fascinating about this code. It's like holding up a mirror to our own minds, using this AI as a reflection to understand how we learn and reason.
That's wild. So we're not just talking about AI learning logic here. We're talking about potentially unlocking new ways of understanding how we learn as humans.
Exactly. And that could have huge implications for everything from education to how we design AI systems in the future.
Oh, okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
And that's what's so fascinating about this code. It's like holding up a mirror to our own minds, using this AI as a reflection to understand how we learn and reason.
That's wild. So we're not just talking about AI learning logic here. We're talking about potentially unlocking new ways of understanding how we learn as humans.
Exactly. And that could have huge implications for everything from education to how we design AI systems in the future.
All right, so we've got this AI, it's learning logic, its environment plays a role, but how do we even know if it's actually getting smarter? Like, how do we test this thing?
Well, that's where the rubber meets the road,
Right.
right? The code actually gives the AI a challenge, a specific logic problem to solve.
Okay, so like a logic puzzle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the AI has to use its understanding of those logic operations, the ANDs, the ORs, the not Ts, to figure out the solution.
So walk me through an example. What kind of problem might this AI have to tackle?
Okay, imagine a scenario where the AI needs to figure out if a certain combination of inputs will lead to a specific outcome. For example, let's say there's a circuit with a few switches and a light bulb. The AI has to figure out which switches need to be flipped on or off to make the light bulb light up.
I can picture that, like one of those classic logic puzzles where you have to pull the right levers in the right order to open a secret door or something.
Exactly. The code sets up these kinds of scenarios for the AI, and it has to use its logic skills to crack the code, so to speak.
So how do we know if it's getting the right answer? Is it a pass or fail kind of thing, or is there some wiggle room?
Well, it's not quite as black and white as that. It's not just about getting a perfect solution on the first try. The code uses this concept of fitness to measure how well the AI is doing.
Fitness. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this AI fitness regime.
So fitness, in this context, basically means how close the AI's output is to the correct answer.
So in that light bulb example,
Yeah.
how close is it getting to lighting up that bulb with the right combination of switches?
Exactly. And it does this for a bunch of different input combinations, not just one puzzle. So it might start with a fitness score of, say, zero point 0.3, meaning it's only getting about 30% of the logic puzzles correct.
Okay, so the higher the AI's fitness score, the closer it's getting to solving those puzzles consistently, like leveling up in a video game.
You got it. Each attempt, even if it's not perfect, contributes to its overall growth, its understanding of logic.
Which is actually a lot like how we learn, right? We don't always get things right on the first try either. We experiment, we make mistakes, and hopefully we learn from them and improve.
Absolutely. And this AI is doing the same thing. This whole process highlights a crucial point. Learning, whether you're an AI or a human, is rarely a straight line to success. It's about embracing those twists and turns, those mistakes, even as opportunities to learn and grow.
And in the case of our AI logic learner, those mistakes are actually driving its evolution towards a more sophisticated understanding of logical reasoning.
Precisely.
So we've been talking a lot about this code and what it's doing, but what's the bigger picture here? What's the so what for our listener? Why is this significant?
Well, what's fascinating here is that this code, this little AI experiment, challenges our usual assumptions about artificial intelligence.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, yeah, you were saying before the break that this challenges how we usually think about AI.
Yeah, like we tend to think AI, robots, all cold calculating machines, right? Right.
But this code, it's almost like it's showing us a different side of AI. It's not just about algorithms and data. It's about simulating how we learn, how we adapt, even how we make mistakes.
So it's not just about whether the AI gets the right answer. It's about the process of learning, right? Like it's stumbling around in the dark a bit, trying to find the light switch.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting. By studying how this AI tackles these logic puzzles, we might actually learn something about how we learn and reason.
I can see that, especially that whole location matters thing. It really makes you think about how we organize information. Like even something as simple as how we arrange our desks or take notes. Could that actually affect how well we understand things?
It's a really interesting question, and it points to a larger point. This code, it's like a window into the learning process for both AI and for us.
You know, it reminds me of that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
Maybe it's not just about the horse or the water, but about how the water is presented, the whole
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, I like that analogy because it really highlights how even small changes in presentation or environment can make a huge difference in understanding. And that's what we're seeing with this AI and the location of those logical operations.
It really makes you think, could we actually use what we're learning from this AI, this whole simulated learning thing, to design better learning systems for humans?
Yeah.
Like, could we actually use this to make those aha moments happen more often?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Imagine if we could apply these insights to classrooms, to online courses, even to how we teach kids to code.
So we're taking what we're learning from AI and using it to improve our own learning.
Exactly. It's like we're getting a glimpse behind the curtain of learning itself with AI as our guide. And we're just getting started, too. There's so much more to explore in this space where AI and logic intersect. Who knows what other fascinating discoveries are out there waiting for us?
Oh, I have to say, this deep dive has been quite a ride. We've gone from lines of code to pondering the future of learning itself.
It just goes to show you never know where a little curiosity will lead you.
That's right. And for our listeners, we'll leave you with this. As we continue to venture further into this age of AI, what if the key to unlocking even greater human potential lies in understanding how we program machines to learn? Until next time, keep those minds curious.